Hold on. Hopefully y'all can hear that. Hopefully it's loud enough. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What's Up, Cuzzo podcast with your two favorite cousins. We got Melly in the building. Oh, my bad. Let's say,
Wow, that's how you do me, huh?
There we
There
go.
we go. Man, get the stickers together on the buttons, man. You be pressing the wrong button sometimes. What up, y'all? How y'all doing? Appreciate everyone tapping in. You know, it's one of my favorite days. It's Friday. You know, I'm always happy when we come back around. You know, this is the only, well, it's not the only game in town, but, you know, it's one of the best. We up and coming. So I hope everyone is feeling great. How you feeling, Cuzzo? My guy, a.k.a. Duck Dynasty.
I'm gonna start calling myself the finisher.
Finisher. Okay.
Finisher. You know what I'm
The
saying?
finisher.
I'm Marco for right now. But I'm adopting a different persona. Soon to be the finisher. You know, what's funny is I was actually listening to this video on Instagram this morning, and it was talking about Kobe. And actually, it was a guy I think he had brain cancer, and he was like over 300 pounds. And he was talking about Kobe, how Kobe, you know, after his first two championships, Shaq had left. He said, "I think I hit a wall." And he went to talk to some people, and he talked to this one individual. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like, you know, no, you need to reinvent yourself. And so that's when the Black Mamba came about, you know, and after he had, you know, shifted his persona to the Black Mamba, he had 62 points. And then a few weeks later, he had 81 points. Some of y'all sounds familiar. And so this guy, you know, he shifted his persona to a different persona. And he now he, you know, he's down, you know, a couple 100 pounds, and he's also competing in he competed in a marathon, and he had a commercial with LeBron and Serena. Just a regular dude, you know, but he recreated himself. And I was like, you know what, that sounds good. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like a good idea. You know, and I said, I know that you know, sometimes I don't finish things. Say, man, I'm about to come with a new persona and call me the finisher. Feel me? So anyway, is what it is. So let's see. Oh, there we go. So as we have not said in a while, things have happened. And I think Cuzzo he missed the cue. Things have happened. Can you hear me? You can't hear me. I think he muted.
I'm on mute. Yeah. And as always, you know, things will continue to happen every single day. We need one of those other buttons, like a boo, that button. You know what I'm talking about? You need to learn how to use the buttons, man.
No, that was the right button. You know what I'm saying?
You
You missed
pressing the
the
wrong.
cue, man. That was the right
Nah,
one.
man.
That's the
Nah.
one I intended. You missed
I need
the cue,
another.
man.
I need another producer because this one, man. He got two. He's not pressing the buttons right. That's not how we
Hey,
practice.
that
All
was
right.
the correct button, man. That was the one that I meant to press that time.
Okay. All
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Hey,
They watching you. The people know. They see what's happening.
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
man, I think this week, I mean, I do have a couple videos queued up, but we're gonna kind of like, you know, wing it a little bit. And I'll just say, I'll just start off. Me and you, because we had a conversation about a post on Instagram, and that post was from our governor, Gavin Newsom, and he was back at his old antics, you know, blaming Trump for, you know, any and everything. And so I went in there and was like, yeah, like Trump is doing some things. I may not have fully said that, but I said that Gavin, you keep trying to blame him, but you are the one who messed things up in California. He has nothing to do with California. And they told my butt up in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they went after me. And I'm actually trying to bring that up real quick so you guys could see what they said. But they was on my head. But I hit Cuzzo, I was like, hey man, they on my head. He was like, I got your back. So he went in there. Did they say anything on your post? Like what you said?
I don't even know. I didn't even go back. I didn't get what they call it. I didn't get any notifications, so I don't know. I don't think anybody said anything to me. So
Oh yeah, they probably did, man.
yeah.
So let's see. So the basically the post says Donald Trump has one playbook, and this is Gavin Newsom on his looks like Twitter or X. No matter the issue or the problem, send in ICE. Trump owes the government on the government shutdown. He's incompetent / pathetic. Right. And so, I went in there and said, like, let me actually go to what I actually said because I don't want to paraphrase. I said California is the fourth largest economy in the world, and yet the worst person in the world to manage it. Stop worrying about Trump and make our state better. Oh, and you don't care because you are focused on running for president yourself. You made this state way worse than Trump has. I put made. Yeah, see, that's probably why they was on my head. But I meant made this country, right? That's what I intended. I was just so intensely typing that I missed some things. But yeah, and so somebody hit me up and they was like, a little literacy goes a long way.
They love to use that literacy line for
Oh,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then pipe down. He was the best governor, and both me and the moment we stop worrying about Trump is when we start his dictatorship. Dumb. And then another person, oh, you were tripping. You must have drank the Kool-Aid. Trump has destroyed this country, and whoever you are, wait, and you are every blue state. I guess that see they need some literacy too because they messed the census up. Anyway, through it, don't blame the governor. Please miss me with the bull. Then another person, you need an education and stop licking the Republicans' boots. If you don't like it, leave. That's the one. If you don't like it, leave. That's what Trump continually says.
Right.
And then so my name on there is I guess I don't want to tell you my name, on there. I don't want y'all going to my Instagram either, but not yet. Not yet. The last one is your name, Big Dumb One. Yeah, so they were all they came after me. But that's the first time actually because I always insert myself when he posts something because it's usually about Trump. And the reason why I responded is because there needs to be a balance, in my opinion, because you have some people who I think you have a lot of people that haven't been here, and we talked that haven't grew up here, that haven't lived here for a long time. They migrated, from other places, and they don't really know how California was. They know just how the weather is. That's pretty much it. But how things go, like people drive differently now. People, interact with people differently now, and it's not just because people don't know how to interact with people. That's some of it, but some of it is just people come from different places and they interact differently, and you can see a change for those people who have been here for the longest, and it's not the same California. He was not the best governor we've had. He's been the worst of the worst. He keeps dropping the ball, and we have people like that want to see him president of the United States. That is crazy.
Yeah.
He missed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add real quick. I just think that's just indicative of just having some critical thought. Having your own mind to express what you actually see versus what you're hearing and what people are saying. It's not adding up. So if it's not adding up, then you can only blame this person because they told you to not like this person for this reason. This is the reason. And this is the game that they play. It's back and forth. It's a tennis match. So you got people going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then anytime someone says anything, enlightening, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about. And only thing that tells me is when you're trying to assassinate my character by insulting me personally, then that just means that you don't have anything intelligent to say about what I just said. So just say that and don't say anything. And it's okay. It's not to say I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm far from it, but I'm far from the dumbest. I know how to think for myself. So when I try to have a conversation, I'm neutral in terms of me going back and forth. Like I don't like to argue. I just like to see what problems do you have, and if there's a problem, then what are the solutions to the problems? Because it's not one person. It's supposed to be we the people. So if we're talking about solutions to problems, then how can we all solve the problems collectively and not just individually blaming one another as we're having those issues and having those different, tedious conversations. So that's what I think about it. You're muted. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with some of what you said. Talking to people, I'm like, is this a stimulation? You know what I mean? Like people really live their life based on social media. So this thing with social media could be a gift and a curse because you have so many people using it. um, it could be used as a tool to help move people forward to get out information and things like that. But also it could be used as a destructive device because you could be feeding people could be getting fed the wrong information
Right.
and getting led down a road that uh they don't necessarily need to be going down or they shouldn't be going down or it they and people really live their life. I have people around me that, oh, if you don't post this on social media, then it's not true. Or if you didn't post me, I ain't gonna go too far into it. And social media, on social media, then you trying to hide something. Like just stuff like that. And I'll just leave it right there. Yeah. And me, I do use social media, but I'm a private person. I don't put anything, that I don't think I should put on there. Like I don't put my kids on there, not for the most part, because I don't know how people are. People have mental illnesses, and it's so many things that can be done with that information. It lives forever, and so you never know somebody, because this thing's gonna blow up, right? Because we gonna blow up, and you might be out on the streets and they be like, "Oh, I saw that photo of him, and this is his daughter." Like, hey, you never know. And so I just hold back on certain things that I post on there, and I understand that yeah, it's a tool, but you have to, just like any tool, if you use a tool incorrectly, it could be harmful. Like, hey, if I take a screwdriver and stick it in something electrical, like electrical socket, hey, it's all bad. You know what I'm saying? But if I take that same screwdriver and I use it on a screw, then its purpose is being served correctly. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and to that point, the couple of points ago that you make in terms of social media being harmful, there's actually people winning lawsuits against social media platforms, saying that this did damage to my child or this did damage, to my daughter or my son, and they're winning lawsuits, And to me, that just goes back to the same old adage. It's like, it's about what the parents are able to do and control. So to me, I get it. I understand it's public, but you also have the ability to not put your business out there, not allow your children to be on social medias. I have my young teenage, you know, not even on social media. They're not allowed to be on there. Now, the older ones, yeah, because their brains are a little bit more developed, they're able to make the right decisions. But the ones that are younger, yeah, that's supposed to be addicting. That's how they designed it. So if you don't know that, and again, it goes back to accountability. and you're not thinking in those terms, then you're going to go and blame someone else for doing this destruction to my child. Or I'm going to blame someone else because I ate this type of food. Oh, now I'm overweight. I'm going to sue this company, understanding like they designed it that way, so they can be sued. So it's a few ebbs and flows there. There's some small print that you have to go, but a lot of times people don't look at the fine things because they just want the right now thing, or what's going on now, or what's the viral moment. You know what I mean? So having these conversations and pointing these things out, hopefully, again, this is why we do this, because we're just two regular guys, so to speak. So if we're having this conversation, other regular people can think this way too. Other regular people can have these conversations. You don't have to think one way or the other. It's about what you feel and see. It's about what you see and feel. So from that, let's have a conversation. Let's break that down. Like, what do you mean by that? You know what I'm saying? So spot on with that one for sure. So hopefully, what I said under yours kind of helped, because I think they stopped attacking you after that. Because they didn't want to come for me. So they stopped attacking you.
I did get some likes. I did get some likes on it, but yeah, I got more comments on it than I did likes. But yeah, man, thought process is very important. I think that that it's important that we learn to be objective, and also like kind of like you said, when we receive information, we don't necessarily have to like say, oh, this is the law. Be like, you can receive the information like, okay, cool. Let me look into it, because sometimes we get led astray. Sometimes we, it's people out there that design this, like to your point, to lead us astray. We think that some of these people that we look at have our best interests at heart. But this thing is designed, man, like if you talk about social media, if you think about TikTok, our TikTok has all kind of crazy stuff on it. It was meant for kids, but it also has all kind of crazy stuff on it. But then, and this is, what I'm hearing, and I need to research this information too, but I'm hearing that the TikTok in other countries like China in particular, they have educational things on there. And so look at that. Like, why are we getting shown this and they're getting shown that? Think about that. But anyway, on to the next. So I'm gonna play a couple videos. Actually, I'm gonna play two back to back, and they're kind of like on the same page, or they're on the same. Let me see. Trying to find. Yeah, they're kind of like on the same lines of thinking, but I want you guys to see, or maybe hearing it from me, you may not understand, but maybe us hearing it over and over again, maybe us hearing it from somebody else, help you guys understand what we're like, some of the stuff we're dealing with. So let me play. This one is a kind of funny video right here.
Congratulations on paying off your house.
Thank you. I finally own my home.
I love that for you. Now pay property taxes.
Wait. For what?
For owning the home.
But I already paid for the home.
Yes, that was for the structure.
And the land?
That's rented.
For who?
Us.
For how long?
Forever.
And if I stop paying?
We take the house.
But I bought it.
Correct.
And now you maintain it for us. So this is renting?
No, this is home ownership.
So what did I actually buy?
A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases.
And what do I get with that?
The privilege of not being evicted this year.
Love it. 5 stars.
All right, that's one. I'm gonna run this one right behind.
I'm fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today. And we're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them, and they're still falling apart. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on.
Kozo, what you think about those two videos?
Man, hey, the first one was funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, so what you do? You get a lifetime subscription? Yeah, pretty much, you know. But you know, the reality is not funny when you think about it. You think about everything that we do and everything that we purchase and, so to speak, own. You know, there's taxes attached to it. Even when you do pay off your home, you know, there's still, you know, property tax that you have to pay every year, or they can come out and take your house or take the land. You know, so, you know, understanding and figuring out how do you operate in society to where you can be successful enough, long enough, when you are at the end of your life, you're able to, you know, have a quality of life, you know, and also, you know, pass all that hard work that you dedicated all your life, you know, to service to your family, to your heirs. So there's a few different things I think we have to start to look at, and we have to start to ask questions about. You know, it can't be like the old adages of what we've seen before in terms of going back and forth with the politics, because we understand what that means. Understanding what taxes are and what taxes are for is another thing. I think that's one thing that people should know and want to know, because what we thought it was for, you know, is no longer for, because they can print money every day. They do it, you know, so it's not really about, you know, taxes paving your road, or taxes, you know, keeping the lights fixed, or this or that, because we see a lot of dilapidated things around here, our community and our cities. And we understand that they say, oh, well, there's no budget for that, or, oh, we don't have money allocated for that. It's not that. That's not to say that they can't do it. That's just saying that's not in their plans. So you have to understand what taxes are in the plan for us. Because if you're able just to, you know, trade time for money and get all that money, then that actually puts you farther ahead, you know, or more ahead on the curve. But as we've had conversations before on previous shows, when we get taxed, where does that money go? They take that money and they send it to other countries. You know, they send it to those places that we shall not speak of, because we don't want to get a strike or get our get our video taken down. You know, so we gotta be you know, we gotta be careful. You know, wink,
Yes,
wink.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like understanding, like, when you start to read the right information, when you go to the website, when you go to irs.gov and you start reading that paperwork, when you talk to people about owning their own business so they can have more write-offs, and people getting mad at billionaires and business owners because they're getting write-offs. You know, if you were to take the time to, you know, become accountable in that own way, then you could, you know, benefit from that too, that as well. You know, when people come from other countries and they come here, there's already something set up for them to win, you know, and maintain. You'll have the gasoline industry, you'll have, you know, the sweets and pastry industry. We call it donuts, you know, because we've seen it as we grown up. You'll have the 7-Elevens, you'll have the beauty industry. Like, there's a lot of different industries here set up, you know, for people to come here and to take part in, so they don't have to pay taxes because they have a business or a certain amount of tax. So when they take that money, what do they do with it? They send it back home or back somewhere else. All the while we're here working and paying all the taxes because we believe in the so-called American dream. You know, we think this is the right thing to do because this is what we've been taught growing up, you know, or we were not taught. We were just told that this is grown folk business and you stay out of it. So, you know, we got to figure it out as we grow up. So now what I'm doing different is having these conversations, with my young adults and with people that are around me that would want to listen, to give you some type of thought process on how to look at things and how to perceive things in a certain way that you can ask a creative thought to where you just don't get dumped off to the left or the right because you're told to do this or told to do that because this is how we grew up and this is how you went to school and this is how you were indoctrinated into the system. So now you're in the system, you're going to pay these taxes because this is what you're supposed to do. This is the law. This is legal. This is the right thing to do. But then we start to see other things happening. Money laundering, people taking money out of the system, people stealing money out of the system, politicians, your leaders, PPO scam this, not to go off topic, but all these things are encompassed into what we call a tax. At the end of the day, it can just come down to, a bag of Doritos, a bottle of water, something simple. So for me, I'm always looking at ways to um, pay less taxes, and I'm always looking at ways to set up, what they call legacy systems, so as you move forward and as you, pass things down, those things won't be taxed because there's another tax there that's waiting for you when you pass away. They call it probate court. And if anybody know about probate court, it's going to be there to hold you up and hold you down so they can get as much as they can, from the person that just passed. So understanding those things and we having these conversations needs to be on the table because as it's on the table more, then you can pass this knowledge on down to your children so they know, like, hey, if you have a house or you have a property, we're going to put it in this trust, or we're going to put it in this vehicle, so we're going to leave it there. So, as we pass on, you won't have to pay these capital gains taxes if you, sell a house or you borrow against it or whatever you want to do. All these different things that we never knew growing up, we know now. So if you know better, you should want to do better.
That's a fact.
Yeah. Sorry to go on that long rant. That's one of the things I'm passionate about for sure. So you already know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But what you think, cuz you like paying taxes.
I was too late.
You are
You said I like him.
Yeah.
No. Man, it's just a funny way, man. Those videos, that's what I'm saying. It's of showing like our reality, right? We get put into a system, and that system is not really for us to thrive. It's to get as much out of us as you can. And that's crazy, just thinking about it, and hearing Cuzzo say it, like when you die, you go out paying taxes. I'm sorry, you're already out and you gotta pay taxes. That's wild. And we talked about this, several times, about how the money is taxed on, and then when you do this, it's taxed and it's taxed again, it's taxed again. People, well, maybe people aren't. I'm tired of it, honestly. Because they're coming up with more taxes every single day to make sure they get more out of us. We make more, we do more to be successful. Some of us have two and three jobs, and guess what? They're gonna say, "I want some too." I was trying to think. In all my uncles, I don't have a blood uncle named Sam at all. But one Uncle Sam makes sure he gets his money, and he makes sure he divvies it up to his people. And so I think it's unfortunate that people we don't push back as a people. You're actually starting to see other states, saying, okay, we're not going to charge property tax, or we're not going to charge state tax. Like there was quite a few countries quite a few states that that are going forward and doing this in their states. Like Florida is one of the most recent one that they said they're gonna try to do away with property tax for those who buy a home and reside in Florida. That's the kind of stuff that we all should want to see. But for some reason, some people want more government. And when you have more government, they in your business. And when in your business, they want to see what you got. And when they want to see what you have, they want some of it too. It's crazy that we go to work every day for those who have a job, those who have a business, or whatever the case is, and that we have to give a large amount of our earnings to somebody that didn't do anything to make it. They didn't do anything to earn it. And this is the other thing. You work all your life, and you hear about this that I'm going to say a lot. You work all your life, you prepare for your life after work. You put into your 401k, you save your money up, you got a pension or whatever that is. You kind of minimize your lifestyle because you know how you kind of try to figure out how things are going to be. Your property tax is $3,000. Your house is paid off. Let me add that in there. And then they say, you know what? We're going to raise property tax. And because you're on a budget, because you minimize your lifestyle so you can pay the property tax that you are currently paying, now it's a struggle to hold on to your house. Now you lived in a house for 30 years, it's paid 30, 40 years, it's paid off, and you're in your 80s, your 70s, late 70s, and you can't afford to, have the house that you currently had, that you thought was yours. And that's sad to see things like that. I heard about some of that stuff that's going on in Chicago. And I know it's going on other places, but it's unfortunate, man, for things like that to happen. But like, when are we as a group going to get tired of that? It's a game, man, that I'm tired of playing. Hey, my check. Hey, man, could y'all imagine? All these things on this check. When you look at your check, some of those things you don't even know what they are. And guess what? They say it's okay. You make a little more. I want a little more. Give me some more. Like Busta Rhymes. Give me some more. Anyway, let me see. I'm gonna remove that. Remove that. You talked about this, Cuzzo, actually. Kind of briefly talked about it. Let me see.
Okay, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Okay.
You did.
Let
There we
me
go.
see. Let me refresh my memory.
No commercials either.
Oh, there we go.
All right, let's see what she got to say.
Welcome back. We are following breaking news. A verdict in the landmark case addressing the power and influence of social media. A Los Angeles jury today finding Meta and YouTube negligent in the design or operation of their platforms and saying the companies failed to warn users of the dangers of their services. The jurors found that the tech giant's platforms harmed a young user with features that made her addicted and led to mental health problems. The trial, which included testimony from Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, was the first lawsuit of its kind to go to trial. In separate statements, Meta and Google, YouTube's parent company, saying they disagree with today's verdict and plan to appeal. Today's verdict comes just one day after a jury in New Mexico ordered Meta to pay $375 million after determining that Meta concealed what it knew about child sexual exploitation on its platform. Meta says it plans to appeal that verdict as well.
I'm addicted to.
Joining me now is Jacob Ward.
I'll just stop it right there, though. So yeah, just talked about it. People live their life on social media. Like that's crazy. So you had to download this application. It didn't come native on your phone, on your device, right? You download it. I think the young lady was 20, somewhere around there. I don't know if when it happened was she 20, but we could look it up. But she downloads the application, creates a login. Her parents let her use it, and then once she logs in, she's able to use this particular software, right? And create an account, and pretty much just do anything she wants to do. And now, they have to put up a disclaimer for you to do that. I don't know. It just sounds. I don't know. Maybe I'll let you go first. So I have to think about that because it just sounds crazy that people can't take responsibility for their actions. It's like somebody is at fault. And guess what? I mean, I'm not really mad at her. Can't really be mad at her, but it's like, whose fault? Who takes the blame? Where was your parents at? If you were a minor, where are your parents at? Kind of like you say, you have your kids on lockdown, like they can't use it until they get a certain age. It being social media. And so where was her parents at when she was using this application and supposedly got addicted to it and has like mental issues? It just doesn't. It's a simulation, like I said. Like it's wild to say, but I'll let you share because I'll hop back in after you're done.
Yeah, man. I'll just say, these are the same parents that, their teenagers are out here, with this vape, all these little fruity cotton candy type flavors. It's not even about accountability. It's about, oh, I thought it was harmless. Nobody told me this, nobody told me that. We didn't know it was going to be addictive. Well, anything that you do every day, all day, can become addictive. I want to know if I can go back and get some money for playing video games, all them years, Nintendo and Atari. So I want to know if I could go back and sue them companies. But anyway, I just want to know. I want to see what the patent looks like for these platforms, because I think it comes down to the patented way these platforms are set up, and that could just be physical hardware on how it operates. Now, in terms of the software of what is dictated to the screen, and how it's set up, it can be manipulative. Terms and conditions. Again, I go back to the small print. If you're not reading those things, you are to none the lesser understanding of what you are engaging in. You just think it's entertainment. Entertainment can become addictive. Gambling can become addictive. Drinking, smoking, all these things that people indulge in can become addictive. So anytime you have these things that are in the public, there's always rules and regulations. Now, each time when you have certain companies, certain presidencies, they are bending the rules, making the rules a little bit softer. So you're able to operate at a certain level in certain areas, because that if you're able to do that, then you're going to be able to make a lot of money, a lot more money, versus when you get the fine, it's not even going to feel like anything. So that's why you have car manufacturers, you have food manufacturers, any type of manufacturers that makes a product and puts it out there. They're going to always do things to where they can gain an upper hand, because once they make the money and then they get caught or get in trouble, the fine is not going to be enough to where it even hurts them. So whatever money that they were had to pay out or give away, that's nothing. That doesn't even scratch the surface. What about everyone else out here that's on the platform using it? We we need to get paid too.
Right.
You
Hey
know,
man, I was gonna say
like
we
you
need to
said,
find out.
we addicted too.
Right, we need to find out how to get people addicted to watching our show. That's what we need to do.
Man, what we say? 10,000 hours. We got to put in 10,000 hours or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if you just look at just ways that you engage on the platform, likes, comments, shares, um, Facebook, I'm kind of going through that platform in terms of what content creation is. They just came out with a new program about content creation so they can keep people on the platform longer, and I can see it every day. Everybody's pushing, um, engagement, they call it, but it's not really engagement. It's not community, you know. It's not real. Everything is fake and fictitious because people are just doing it just to get, some money from Facebook. So if you sign up for that, then yeah, it's okay. But nonetheless, or if people are not thinking about it, then yeah, I'm vulnerable. I didn't know. My daughter, we didn't know. We didn't read the terms and conditions. They didn't say that. We did read them. And there's always a loophole that, lawyers can find that they can sue you on. So it just depends.
Yeah, I think not thinking about it, I there are some instances where I start scrolling and I go down a rabbit hole, right?
Dead man
Oh man.
scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah, doom scrolling as they call it. And I definitely think there's a plan, like you said, there's a plan in it. Because yeah, we bring up valid points. They want you to stay using the platform. So they set it up that way. Uh, there's a lot of companies out there, again to your point, who want people, maybe they don't use addictive, but they want people to continue buying their services, their goods and things like that, like sugar. Hey, sugar is addictive like crazy. And so yeah, this is another like instance where it shows that they don't really have our interests, like they just want to make money. And who they are, we get to find out who they are because we don't fully know. We could assume who some of those people are, but there's a lot of these big companies out there who are umbrellas to other companies who have other companies under them and things like that. So and a lot of times it leads back to the same person or the same group of people. And so anyway, this is interesting, man. So do you think that they had the right to sue Cuzzo, or do you think that they just need to take responsibility for what they did?
Well, you
Since we,
always,
since we know that it's a plan to, have people to stay on the platform.
well, I think there's two levels here. There's merit based, and then there's also accountability, as we said. You know, merit based is, yeah, you knew, your product was addictive. So why would you, allow certain age ranges to use your product per se? Accountability is, once I seen a certain um, habit forming or a certain behavior forming, I should step in and redirect that or change that. It's just like my 7-year-old. I know when it's time to cut his tablet time off. I can tell. you know. And he used to get really upset before, but now he doesn't get as upset because we've been through that process, you know, enough times to where he knows, like, okay, yeah, it's time to, you know,
Shut
give
it
it up
down.
for a while. It's time to shut it down. Yeah. So if you were to have more of that, again, we say accountability, you know, And I'm pretty sure there's some other words we could use, but to me, accountability is one of the words that's most important to use because, it makes you personally think about your part in the situation. So I think if we have more of those things happening, then we won't have a lot of people suing individuals because then you just go back to me controlling, my ways of life, my lifestyle, you know. Oh, what's in that? Oh yeah, I'm not eating that. I'm gonna go ahead and make that at my home. Or what is that? What's on that? Okay, yeah, we're shutting that down because I'm not gonna allow them to see that because I understand this. You know, even the guy that came up with the iPhone and the iPad. Steve Jobs. He told you, he's like, yeah, I don't let my kids use iPads because he knows what they are. He knows
Right.
they're addictive.
That's a fact.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, anybody that's selling something, that's pushing something, if they're not allowing their child to use it, they're not allowing their family to use it, you shouldn't be using it either.
That's a fact.
So I don't see anybody, from Meta, or his family, if he has kids, I don't know, on their scroll. They might be, I don't know, but you just have to think about those terms, you
Do
know.
you, do you think? Well, they say that she suffered from like body dysphoria and some other things, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety, and we know how social media could be, right? We know how people could post all these different things on there. As soon as sometimes you open it, you got to be careful because that photo with the cakes out, pops up on your feed, and it's like, what? Let me clear my feed or something. What's going on? But do you think Meta can control that because a lot of these people don't even live the lifestyle that they portray. But then you have people that look at the social media and they feel like or they think, oh, I should look like this or why don't I look like this? And you know, um, and that's where like I think the depression and you know mental stress could come. Oh, this person is making millions and I'm broke. You know, um, do you think Meta should take responsibility for that?
No. Again, it comes back to accountability. Because I can read the newspaper and see people making money. I can be depressed after that, but then I'm gonna go sue the newspaper. No, you just have to,
Let's do it now.
yeah. I mean, you just have to develop a level of resiliency when it comes to being affected by what other people are doing or what's going on in other people's houses and homes or spaces. Because, you know, if you're going to be attracted by a certain energy, then it's going to find you regardless, whether it's social media, whether it's the newspaper, whether it's TV, because you're seeking that out. Now, I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do that, but some energies and some ways of things happening are just drawn to certain people. Like they'll say something like, man, why does this always happen to me? Or, oh, I'm always having the worst luck. Yeah, you're speaking that to existence. You are your own best author and director, in certain situations. So if you are subconsciously consuming something, then yeah, it's very easily to manipulate you because you're not actively thinking about what you're on here for and what you're looking at. Like you said, if you just get on there and doom scroll and you go down a rabbit hole, I've done that before. Yeah. But I know I'm not on there just looking at, cakes bouncing. That's not what I'm on here for. I, I'm more attracted to, information and
Right,
knowledge and, finding the truth. And of course, some pop culture things because we do this podcast. So I'm always looking for that. Sports.
hey man, I ain't got
Uh,
no money to get sued by, so don't try to sue me, man, for your algorithm.
listen,
And
man, I clear that thing out as much as I can. So,
yeah,
yeah. So anytime you interact with a platform, it's always going to save that and it's going to send that more to you because when I go on Instagram and you go to the search, it's like, oh, that's like, why is all this in here?
right,
But when I go down my feed, I don't see any of that, or I don't see a lot of it, but they just have that sitting in your algorithm. So there's ways that you can clear certain things out, you
right.
know. And if you take the time just to go through each platform, you can see and go through the settings to see how to do that and kind of reset it to default settings.
100%. Yes, sir. But anyway, I think that was good, man. On to the next thing, but I wanted to say shout out to Mill 2633.
Is that our
Shout out
guy?
to you. Thank you for that's him. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Salute.
And then shout out to Level Up Nation. Shout out to you. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. And then
Appreciate it.
everybody else out there who may hop in and listen, we appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe to the content. If it's something you like, guess what? Give us a dislike if you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Hey, if we can talk about, if you don't like what we're talking about, shoot us a dislike. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot me a dislike.
Hey,
tell me what I said.
We open to constructive criticism,
Yeah.
so we appreciate you for the dislikes too. Let's see what we got next. More of the same stuff. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. I'm gonna break it up real quick. Let me go here. Let me go. Yeah. Add that to the
believe she should pay for it.
Early. Hold on. This is somewhat controversial. So this is Pearly Things. I don't know if she was on somebody's podcast or she had them on hers, but she was talking about the dynamics between parents who are no longer together. And let's see what she has to say.
Makes the decision to leave, she should pay for it. If you want to leave, that's totally fine, but you should pay to raise your kid.
Is it not his child as well?
And he should pay for the time. That's why I said 50-50 custody off the bat, no child support, no alimony.
So she gets to take on all of the childcare responsibilities, but he doesn't have to pay anything. He doesn't have to have any buy-in.
I didn't say all, I said 50-50 custody. He should have the kid half the time.
But doesn't have to pay any money towards it.
No, he should pay for the kid when the kid's at his house.
Okay, and so the majority of the time when the kid is at the mother's house, he doesn't have to be involved in any way financially?
No, she should pay for it. She has a job. Why should he have to pay for a kid?
He should support it.
If she chose to have the kid and she chooses divorce, why should she not have to pay for her own decision? That's the thing. See, there it is. You want all the freedom to do whatever you want, but you don't want to have to pay for it.
Yo, so shout out to Just Pearly Things. I used to watch quite a bit of her content. She always had these takes that are not the norm. And some of them were thought-provoking. And I think that, it's important that, we have a difference of opinion sometimes. Sometimes we need somebody to shift our consciousness sometimes, shake our consciousness so, we can see outside of the normal boxes that we live in. So yeah, Cuzzo, what do you think about what Pearly had to say?
Yeah, I always appreciate her takes and the places and spaces that she comes from in terms of her perspective, because and I actually like that dynamic too. Two women talking together, one thinking one way, one thinking the other way, because most of the time you don't see that dynamic. They tend to pin men against women, and that always makes for a good conversation because that's how they like the design to be. But yeah, in terms of what she said, I agree. Of course, anytime you have a co-situation, a partnership in business, 50-50, you're taking care of this, I'm taking care of that. There should always be agreements on how we handle things, whether it's relationships, whether it's with children, whether it's in business. But family is a business. Raising children, that is a business. People don't understand that. And, if you can be an adult enough, or you can be a good business person or boss, lady as they call themselves, then you should be able to manage and raise this situation to where it's fruitful for them and it's beneficial for you two involved, because you guys are doing something together. A lot of times, certain women want to look at it from a perspective that's selfish, because they feel like they lost something, you know, they feel like they didn't get something, and it should be up to the man to take on that responsibility to make sure that they're fulfilled in some way, you know, and it's the relationship. They don't really normally think about the child. The child is the afterthought. The relationship failed, so, you know, I'll do whatever I can to get anything I can get back from that man, because, you know, he didn't make it work, or he didn't do everything he needed to do to make this last, or to make me satisfied, or to make me, have everything I wanted. And it's all about the man's fault, you know. And again, we go back to that word accountability, you know. And there's a meme going out there a lot of times, some women don't like to take accountability. And in those situations, yeah, it's always a finger pointing match. It's always that Spider-Man meme, like you. And I never want it to be that way. And even my own situation, my own personal situation, it was always a fight against me. Like I was the one that did everything wrong, or didn't do enough, or could ever do enough to make things right. So I'm going to make you suffer, for what failed between us in terms of a relationship. And even though if it wasn't my fault or the man's fault that the relationship failed, they're still going to figure out a way to make it your fault, you know. So unfortunately, they're going to always say, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, I should only be doing this, and with the fact of reality, no, it's whatever we all can do collectively. What parts can you do well? What parts can I do well? And then we come to the table and see, okay, well, you can do that. Can you do this? Yeah, okay. Well, can you do this? And can you do that? And then it's all about a control mechanism too. It's like, if I have the kid more, I can make him do this. If I have the kid more, then I can get more child support out of him. If I have the kid more and put him into sports and activities, I can tell the judge that I need more money so he can pay me more money, and I can do whatever I want with that money. The child won't be seeing anything, They'll get some stuff, but, more than likely, they may be giving that money away to another man, or giving it away to the club, or trips.
Oh,
There's different situations, every situation is different, of course, but, just speaking on that clip, that perspective is one that you have to pay attention to, because they're not listening to anything that's going to be cohesive.
right.
50-50 means you do your part and I do my part. What is your part, or what is your part? Or what can you do if you can't do that? It's called communication. So you have to figure out how to balance the seesaw. It's going to go up, it's going to go down. Your side's going to go up, my side's going to go down. But as long as we keep bouncing on that seesaw, then we'll both be up and be down, but we working together. And that's how it normally goes. That's how it should go. So, look like I'm freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear me though, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know if you want to leave and come back.
Yeah, I'll reset.
Okay. Man, shout out to you for that, cuz I wanted to say before I get started on my rant, shout out to you, Pat Nash. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you again, Level Up Nation. Man, this conversation about who should take care of what, who should take care of the child, who should be responsible financially, this comes up, and this is one of those conversations that could bring about some anxiety, bring about some stress, bring about some anger. because one feels like they should, the other should handle the majority of these things. And Cuzzo said a lot about, about it. I think that the dynamic of this thing, let me see. No, sorry about that, y'all. I think it's important that one, the child has both parents in their life. You know, I would say, do your best as a male and female um, to be together to make it work. Uh, but if there's other circumstances, other, things that come up outside of, oh, he's not ambitious enough, like we talked about the lady who, had her husband was paying all the bills, she made more money, and she said she wanted him to do more. It not like that type of conversation, but um, if it becomes physical or something like that, then we, understand. Um, I think people have little more leeway. But if it's just a misunderstanding, then try to get some understanding. Uh, because this child is the most important thing in the world from that point. And we forget about that. We think about ourselves. Oh, I'm not happy. The child didn't have a uh, the child didn't ask to be here. But we're being selfish, when it comes to those instances. And a lot of times it's not even about the money per se or who's taking care of the child. It's more about, I want to hurt that person, because they hurt me. And I know cause I said a sort of a something similar, but I'm hurt. You broke my heart. You said that you was gonna love me and you did something that I don't feel you love me, or I don't love you no more for whatever reason. And now, not only do you want, a lot of times the man ends up paying, you know, uh, child support, but also the man gets time taken away from the child. And I could be wrong when, I'll say this, I'll lead with this, but I could be totally off. Uh, but uh, if you ask 10 men out of 10, I could be almost certain that 9 of those 10 men, if you ask those men, uh, would you keep the mother out of their life, or would you uh, limit the time that the child spends with the mother if you had custody? This is just in my opinion. I think 9 men out of 10 will say no. They wouldn't try to restrict time. A lot of them won't even ask for money, because I think from a man standpoint, men believe that and understand that the child needs both parents. The child needs both parents. It's important that the child sees both perspectives. Guess what? Nurturing and caring and all those things, like I can't do that like a woman. And there's certain things a woman can't do like a man. If it's a son, you could, base your opinion on what you think a man should be, but you can't fully teach a man how to be a man. I saw a woman out there teaching her son how to rush the passer. So like she was down in a 3-point stance playing an offensive lineman and trying to show her son how to get to the quarterback. I thought that was dope. But then you have to ask, like, hey, that, not saying that she can't do it. And she looked like she was doing it great. But the question is posed, like, in those situations, what else is she trying to do on her own? What other things that a man should be doing is she doing on her own? And maybe that was just questions that that I was asking. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Hold on, what am I doing? There we go. Maybe it was just me. But I think in these scenarios, like when you have women who think like that, it's at a detriment to the kid. And I know Jamel kind of said it himself. But that's what's been happening. That's why you get the kids that, are on social media too long and now you're suing, because you don't have anybody checking in. I don't know, cuz I can't see you. Let's see. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh, there we go. He done switched to his phone, huh?
Yeah, man. You gotta roll with the punches.
I got 2 phones. Yeah.
My laptop was on the fritz for some reason, but it's happened this time too. I think after 5, my place of business be telling me, "Hey, all right, time to go home." Time to go home.
Right. Well, I was just saying, if you ask 9 men, if you ask 10 men, 9 men would say like, yeah, we wouldn't withhold time from the mother if we had custody. What do you think about that?
No, I think it's 10 out of 10. I don't think it's 9 out of 10. No, man. No, the whole time away from the mother, because we come from women. We come from women, and most of the time, if you grew up, with a mother that you love, or even if you grew up, with a mother that you didn't get enough love, you would always want to not impart that on your child or your seed or your son or your daughter. So I think it's definitely a 10 out of 10. Because what benefit would that garner the child?
Not at all. And so why do you think that one side understands that the other side doesn't? Or some of them? Because I don't want to say it's all of them, because it's not women are not a monolith, but it's a large amount of them. So why do you think it works that way?
Well, because women can be vindictive and they're emotional, so they're thinking it from a feeling standpoint, and a man is logical. He thinks with his head, and he understands that that's not beneficial for the child to keep them away from the mother. You need both parts. In order for a child to be, balanced per se, you want to have equal parts.
100%. So we'll table it there, man. I'm gonna try to get these last 2 in if we can. Maybe I'll do this one. So this one is more in the news. So as y'all know, it's been a government shutdown, and it's affecting the TSA agents. Therefore, it's affecting a lot of travel around the country. If you look at some of the airports have people in the parking lots waiting in line. You have people have in excess of 4 hours waiting in check TSA check checkpoints. And so you have a lot of people calling off who are TSA agents. You have a lot of people quitting their job because they haven't got a paycheck, I think, in a month or so. And Trump signed the executive order. Let's see what this young lady has to, I didn't share it. There we go. Add to stage. What? Okay, there we go.
Once again, we're continuing to follow some of these updates and expecting soon to also hear from President Trump a bit later today. I want to put this up on your screen. This is via his Truth Social site saying this: going to make a big speech on economics in Miami. Our military operation in Iran is going great. He signed it there, President Donald J. Trump. We do know that he will have a public event a bit later today. And when he lands in Miami, we did hear from President Trump briefly a bit earlier as he spoke to farmers at the White House. But this just came down a few moments ago that President Trump said today that he signed an executive order now directing federal officials to ensure that Transportation Security Administration, also known as TSA, employees are going to receive back pay during this ongoing Department of Homeland Security shutdown. President Trump has since described the situation as an emergency, citing severe strain on airport security operations. He did say this, quote, I accordingly hereby direct the Secretary of Homeland Security in coordination with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to use funds that have a reasonable and logical nexus to TSA operations to provide TSA employees with the compensation and benefits that they would have accrued to them if not for the Democrat-led DHS shutdown, consistent with the applicable law, including, and he cites a section of the law as well. And so again, this is a breaking news update that we have there. I do want to show you a few vantage points that we have around the country, as we have seen very long TSA lines at several different airports, including this one in Houston, that vantage point that we have there. Want to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox. We'll continue to keep you updated in case President Trump or any other officials make any statements about.
All right, we'll stop it right there. So, yeah. We know the government has been shut down for, let me see, how many days has the government? Let's see. So it's on, okay, no, that was the first one. How many days is the current government shut down? Man, just give me a number, bro. Why is it not coming up for me? Cuzzo, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just in rotation now.
Got it.
Headed to my studio.
All right. How many days is the current government shutdown?
As of March 27th, 2026, the partial government shutdown affecting the Department of Homeland Security has lasted 41 days.
41 days. There you go. So yeah, it's currently at 41 days. DHS is not getting paid, which TSA falls underneath that. And you know, my question would be, why is it that this government, the government officials are still getting paid? If the government shutdown is happening, and I'm gonna repeat what I said before. If this shutdown happens, they should be the first not to get paid, and I guarantee you, things will start moving forward if they did not get paid. You know, some of these TSA workers are probably just kind of getting back to normal, and then they get hit with another shutdown. I think it's unfortunate. You know, but Trump stepped in, and we'll see what happens if he actually, I mean, how long it takes for them to do it, or if they try to appeal and all these other things, because somebody is holding these people money hostage. Somebody is using these workers as pawns, imagine just getting hired on with TSA, and you didn't have a job for a while, and then you encounter a shutdown where you're not getting paid. Like you just got an apartment, you just got a new car. All these things are scenarios that could happen and cause a strain on these people's life. But let the politicians incur some of this strain. Like that's what we need the executive order to happen. And guess what? No politician gets paid if there's a government shutdown. Those who are in charge of coming up with the budget or whatever it is that they're doing that they need to do. How about they don't get paid? And let's see how far this thing goes. That's all I got to say about that. You got anything, Cuzzo, you want to say? Trump's executive order to make sure TSA is paid.
Yeah, I actually heard in the story. I don't know how true this is. They actually stopped. What was it? Tyler Perry from paying TSA workers at Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
And
Elon Musk had offered also.
Elon Musk offered to pay TSA. Yep. So just understanding, what you're seeing and what you're hearing, they don't care about American people. How do you think they care about them? Not the livelihoods, of people when things get tough and things get tight. It's all about what the agenda is and how well that can be carried through. If my agenda can be carried through and taken care of, then yeah, we can fund all that other stuff. So this is what I mean when I tell people you have to pay attention and listen and watch what's happening so you're able to make your own determination. It's not one side or the other. It's not heads or tails. It's what you see actually happening, with the flip and who's flipping it, how they flipping it. They want you to see it a certain way, and it's not the way that they're saying it is. So we have to make those determinations in order for people to see what's happening, understand how your livelihood is being affected, and because it's affected, now I have to do things and think of things in a different way, in a different light, because I'm not able to live like they say we can live, because this is not happening the way that they want it to happen. So we can fund TSA, but then we can't fund ICE. Or we can fund ICE, but we can't fund TSA. I saw another meme that says, yeah, you got ICE working here right behind TSA. One's getting paid, the other one's not. Crazy world, right? You got TSA, ICE standing right behind TSA workers, and they're getting paid, and they're not getting paid.
Right.
But you have to understand, too, it's all about control, because TSA came in when? Right after 9/11.
Right.
Before then, security was privatized. So now they are making another change, another adjustment. You got to start asking yourself, what's the reasoning behind it? Why is it happening the way as it's happening and not the way that they said it's going to happen? And then a lot of people, I'm seeing things online too. It's like, well, look at the agenda, whatever it's called, the agenda 2025 or whatever thing that they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And there's it's playing out the same way it's in here on this page and this page. So I just tell people, just start to look at things, start to ask questions and dig a little bit deeper. And then you'll start to get your answers that way versus, you feeling a certain way because somebody said this, that, or other about, your favorite politician to hate,
Yes, sir. Well, we're going to jump to the last subject. Let me see. C-SPAN caller exposed over damn. Oh yeah, we'll just jump to this one, and we have one more, but we'll end it on this one. Our beautiful state, California. We have seen a mass exodus, California. Not only people, but also businesses. There's been 20 plus $20 billion of taxable income that has left this state. And guess who? Guess who is going to be in charge of making sure these taxes get paid? Those people who was arguing in my comments. In my comment, that's who. But let's see what they have to say. I couldn't find any other video. I know y'all probably like, why does dude all on Fox today? But this is the video I found. Wait. No, this is not Trump to tackle. Here, maybe it's, let me see.
Now this, the co-founder of Uber, that would be Travis Kalanick. He says he's moved from California, he's gone to Texas. He's joined a growing list of billionaires who have left the Golden State. Joel Pollack joins me now. But Joel, look at that list on the screen. This is an exodus, isn't it?
It is. I saw Howard Schultz from Starbucks there. He's leaving Washington State, and that's because of their millionaires tax, which shows you that these blue state taxes aren't just targeting the ultra rich. They're also moving down and starting to hit the upper middle class and soon the middle class. And it's all part of a scramble for public dollars to fill the giant hole created by healthcare spending. Somehow nobody's looking at how to cut costs and spend more efficiently. Instead, unions and blue states are looking for ways to target the wealthy and then increasingly the middle class. But it doesn't actually fill the hole because you still have those rising costs. Yeah. And then, of course, when people leave these states, they take their assets with them, their wealth. They also take people who move to these places to be near the billionaires. The reason you get so much tech talent in Silicon Valley is that young, brilliant engineers want to be near angel investors. They want to be near Sand Hill Road. They want to be near the people who can pour money into their ideas. And if those people leave, well, you're losing a whole extra layer of taxpayers.
I'll stop it right there. So what else do I need to say? This is something that, go ahead. What you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it's there for you to hear it. I mean, there can be, excuses made. There can be other things that you can deflect with, or language you can use to deflect. But the fact of the matter is, what he just said. How can you refute what he just said? It's not like this because of this. It's not like that because of that. No, it is what it is because that's how they're making it. It's on purpose. It has a purpose. So when you look at that, you got to ask yourself, what's the purpose? Why are they making it like that on purpose? And then they're going to point and deflect. And that's how you keep people on path to whatever discussion you're having. When you ask a question and then they say something else, understand that that's a deflection. You say, okay, but what I'm asking is this. Yeah, this, that, and the other. So what you're saying is this is like this because of him, or because of that, or because of this. Yes. Okay. How? What happened? Tell me how. You have to ask questions to break it down. Because when you listen to someone talk, you're not listening to everything. You just listen to the key points, the beginning and the end. That's it. Everything in between, people don't listen to. And the stuff that's in between is usually the nooks and crannies. That's the good stuff.
Right.
Those are the details. Those are the reasons why things are the way they are, really, truly.
I'm listening.
But I'm gonna catch you with the beginning, the punchline, and I'm gonna catch you with the closing and the summary. That's it.
Yeah, well, we talked about this a number of times. And hopefully, as we continue to talk about it, we get those who tune into the content to see, what's actually going on. And guess what? You don't hear, our governor saying, "Oh, we're gonna do what we need to do to try to get these people to stay." They're not trying to change any of the laws, any of the legislation to change the way that they uh get money, from us. We're the number one. I'm sorry, number 4 economy, maybe number 5 now, economy in the world. And I saying that too. He says that a lot, but I'm saying that because think about the amount of money that flows through this state. And me, if I was a business owner and I was making billions of dollars, why would I want to pay an exorbitant amount of money just because I make billions of dollars? Like we talked about taxes, we're trying to avoid paying the amount of taxes that, the people in our bracket pay. Like, what do you think that they're trying to do? So guess what? They're going to go somewhere where they can make more money and pay less taxes, less red tape. And that's what's happening. But what it's doing is what people don't realize is, one, they're taking their companies with them. They're taking the people that they hire with them, because people they don't want to pay more taxes too. And that's pretty much what he said. They're taking all those individuals with them, so that now you have less people who are in the upper middle class or middle class that are paying taxes in that state. And guess what? Who is it gonna trickle down to? The lower middle class, the people who are barely scraping the bottom. We won't talk about the others, but that's who it's gonna affect. And I know it sounds good to tax the rich, but guess what? Tax the rich is saying, we out. Peace. Y'all figure it out. And guess what? Our governor, guess what? He gonna be gone soon. He's gonna be gone very shortly. And so he doesn't care I doubt if he cares what this state looks like after he leaves. He's looking to bigger and better things, greener pastures. He's thinking about presidential election 2028. That's what he's thinking about. Let's open up our eyes, people. Let's start to wake up. They don't care about us. And when I talk about the governor, it's not, oh, I'm a bootlicker, dummies. It's because I care about this state. Because I care about the people that I love that are in this state. It's because the children that I have that live in this state, it's going to be worse for them than it is for us right now. Open up your eyes. Like, stop having derangement syndrome. Like, be able to have those conversations that, have you thinking, have you wanting to know more, have you want to get an understanding. And guess what? I'm gonna be 100. I wasn't there. Like, I was, in my own space. I was in the programming. I'm slowly being pulled away from it because I see that there's different out there. But they don't want you to see different. They want you to be locked in. They want you locked in. to what they want you to do. And who is they? You get to figure it out for yourself. Because we've been talking about it, but you get to figure it out. Who is they? But anyway, I digress from the rant, cuzzo. That was my closing. Well, no, it wasn't my closing remarks. But yeah, go ahead. I'll let you hop in, and then we'll close this thing out.
No doubt, cuzzo. Another great show as always. I appreciate you, doing all the technical things behind closed doors, even though we didn't have our normal pre-show like we normally do. You were still able to get things together. So shout out to you for that. And we'll definitely be better moving forward because we get better every show. And then shout out to the listeners, shout out to the new people that came through today, our regular. We appreciate all of you coming through, showing love, commenting. Every little bit helps. And we appreciate it because we know this is something that we like to do, starting to love to do it. And you could have been somewhere else or anywhere else listening. So appreciate you guys. And then out to the world, out to our friends in the comments on all these social media platforms and people, just learn how to start looking at things differently, learn how to put yourself in, another person's shoes and just give yourself the opportunity, just to see it from another side or a different angle. And I guarantee you, if you do that, things will start to become more interesting to you because going this side or the other side, it is very bland and vague. There's no seasoning on that way of thinking. You got to put some seasoning on your thoughts. Put some seasoning on your thoughts, you get more soul. So shout out to y'all. Appreciate you, and that's my piece.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you, cuzzo. Shout out to you. Yeah. Dang, why does I keep doing that? There we go. So yeah. So shout out to you, cuzzo. We appreciate you for bringing your perspective to the show, and your the well speaking that you have. We appreciate you. Shout out to everyone who joined us for the show. Whether you hit a like, dropped a comment. Again, shout out to you, Mill, Level Up, and I think that's Pat Nash Talks. We appreciate you for taking your time out to stop by and listen in. I just want to say, man, with all things, get understanding. With all things, understanding. And I like to kind of liken what I'm going to say to the church, right? There was a point in time in the church in the early days when people weren't as educated, and the preacher used to get up there and he used to, read a scripture, and then the church used to hoop and holler, as they say, and the church would get excited, and it was about excitement. But as we get older, this is the age of information, and not only then, but back then as well, like we have to be responsible for ourselves. So we could be fed misinformation, and guess what? We have to take responsibility for it. Somebody fed us information. So with all things, get an understanding, and that'll help you know where you stand and how to proceed and how to move forward. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining your two favorite cousins. Episode number 2. I'm sorry, season number 2. Episode number 10. We out. Peace.